As a born and raised Calgarian, I love my city. I want to make it better. I want to see it kind of grow and change in a way that thinks about your futures here. And so when you slowly get through grade 6 and all the way up into high school and university, I want you to think, you know what, I can stay in Calgary and like the water's good and the roads are good and there's a good public transit system and I have a good place to live and there's a cool community where I can live and raise my own kids. Maybe my family is still here, and so I want to make sure that there's a city that's ready for you when you grow up.
The municipal issue that our group focused on was roads. The heart of this issue was the busy construction here and the Southwest Ring Road. My question is there any way that we can still have the ring road and save some of the wetland habitat without increasing the cost of the road too much?
Yes, there is. So they are building a bridge, right, over the Elbow River, right over here. And to build that bridge, they have decided to, has anybody been out to the mountains lately? And you know those animal overpasses?
Yeah.
You know those ones?
Yeah.
Okay, so kind of picture that, except the cars coming down the ring road are the animals, and the highway is the Elbow River, right? So that's what the design is right now. And there are some people who are saying this is not a good design. It's eating up too much of the wetlands, and it could be a risk in the next big flood. So that, if we're going to, the biggest impact on the wetlands is the current bridge construction. If we change the bridge construction, it would be more expensive.
City is thinking about replacing streetlights with glowing road paint. This would only affect places where there's like less road traffic. Rain can dull the glow and snow covers it up. Do you think that the city should continue through with this project, and why?
This is new to me. I have to be honest. I haven't heard about glow in the dark paint on the roads. Definitely. Can you just imagine the amount of energy that is used to light every lamppost in the city? If you've ever been out of town and you can kind of look back to Calgary at night, and it's just like, it just glows, right? And so there's this thing called light pollution that's kind of a growing concern, that we can't really see the stars anymore when you live in the city because of all of the lights that are working all the time, and it's really hard. And so there's this light pollution that I think more and more people and cities are trying to impact. So yeah, I think you raised some really good points with the glow in the dark paint, that it gets pretty cold and pretty snowy here a lot. Certainly in the middle of winter, it's dark more often than it is light, so I wonder about kind of recharging the glow in the dark paint, if there's enough light to actually do that throughout the winter. I think that light posts, street lamps, serve dual purposes, right? But it's both for cars, but then it's also for people who are walking around at night, and it makes people feel safer. It makes people, it just is safer because they can actually see where they're walking. And so I don't think that glow in the dark paint would ever replace street lamps.
Thankfully, this is the last roads question.
Okay.
And so lately in Calgary, there's been less distracted drivers. Less people are like staring at electronics while driving, but there's still some people who aren't looking. So what would you do to ensure that everyone in Calgary drives safely?
Are looking for that kind of behavior, and they're making those fines jump up really high. And so that's great, right? Sometimes if people know that ticket, maybe if it's $100 or $200, it might not make as big of a difference to deter them from using their phones while they're driving. But if the ticket's $5,000, maybe then they'll think twice. I just got an update on my phone.
Yes.
That lets me. Were you gonna say this?
Yeah.
I just got this up just this morning. I got this little update where I could turn off my phone, where it would just automatically turn off when I'm driving.
So there's on your lock screen, there's this little icon, right?
Then maybe they know, right? Did you know that? Who knows? Pick a number. If maybe 45% of traffic accidents every month happen as a result of distracted driving. Maybe we would start to think twice about using our phones while we're behind the wheel.
The municipal issue our group is focused on is public arts.
The heart of the issue is that the taxpayers are paying for projects of art that they don't really want in the city and they aren't going to see. The big question that flows out of this issue is, what would you suggest to do to make the taxpayers more satisfied with the money that's going into the art?
What do you think? Do all of you agree on the same kind of music?
No.
Nope. We're all. Or do you all have the same favorite color? No. But we can appreciate that maybe our parents really like Bach or Beethoven. Nothing against Bach or Beethoven. It's still really important to have that music, right? Even if you might not like it, and maybe you'll grow to like it over time. And so this is kind of my attempt at making an example of the importance of public art. It might not, maybe not everybody is going to like it, but I think creating art that everybody is going to like is almost impossible. My thing in making taxpayers happier with the process is that right now the decision on public art is made by a committee. So it's a group of people that has been appointed by the government to decide on public art projects. And so they ultimately say yes or no. And I think what would be wonderful is if the public had more of a say in who those people are, who should be making those decisions. And do we know about what they base their decisions on?
Since an arts group is trying to want the city to double the arts funding, what would your decision be about the issue if you're elected?
Budget, they want it to go up to 0.7, so almost half. And I was really happy to support that initiative because arts and culture is really important in our city. And so we've got WordFest happening right now. We've got, oh goodness, if anybody's ever been to the ballet or the theater down at Alberta Theatre Projects, or maybe when the Children's Festival comes to Calgary, if you've ever been to any of those kinds of events, that's all supported. Some of it is supported by government, and then arts and culture usually has to rely on private donations from companies the rest of the time.
Focused on was being on the 2026 Winter Olympics.
The heart of this issue is that it would cost $4.6 billion to build things like a new hockey arena or a new building to replace the Olympic Oval and host the Olympics. But if we partnered with Edmonton, we would cut the cost in half, and we would have to do half the renovations because Edmonton has a lot of new facilities.
Do you think that it's a good idea to partner with Edmonton on the Winter Olympics?
Too much for us to do it on our own. But exploring that kind of partnership could be really interesting. And so there is a committee that has been brought together to make recommendations on whether or not the city should pursue a bid. And that final report hasn't come back yet. And so I'll be really curious to see what they do suggest, what they recommend. We put a lot of money into that, into just even considering a bid. And so I want to make sure that we're giving them the opportunity to talk about their report and what they might suggest we do.
Issue our group focused on was attracting investment to Calgary like Amazon. The big question that follows out of my issue is, what's your opinion? Do you think Amazon should come to Calgary?
So definitely, Amazon, this HQ2, what's called the HQ2 bid, could bring 50,000 jobs to Calgary. There are some risks there, but I am for it. I am for a bid to bring them here. I think that it could be a really important step in economic recovery.
The municipal issue our group focused on was about how we should pay bike taxes to sponsor pedestrian and cycle projects. Do you think that bike taxes will help the city's new projects, and how?
I really like the cycle tracks. I used to live downtown. I don't ride my bike very much anymore, unfortunately, but or not anywhere near as much as I used to. I used to use it every day to get to and from work. And I would pull my daughter in our chariot in the back, and it was always it could be a little scary, and so was really loved using the cycle tracks. and it felt safer, and at the end of the day, that's the most important part, is that people are safe on the road. And so with cycle tracks, I think it's a wonderful addition to the city, and I am all for them. But no, don't want to see bike taxes. I think that the government our job is to be responsive to the need in our city, and people are saying that this is something that we need. They deserve to be safe, and so that's a responsibility of the government. There shouldn't be an extra tax to make sure that people are safe.
Okay, so what we've been working on as our municipal issue is the waste and recycling collection.
The heart of our issue is if the green carts are helpful or useful to the community. The green bin program is to help keep waste out of our landfills that can be turned into compost.
What do you think about the green bins and this program? And do you think that every household should be required to have a green bin even if they don't make much waste?
There is an extra tax that now every house has to pay for the green bin. And I'll be honest, at first I was kind of torn on it because we've got a compost bin at our house already and we use it all the time. And so I kind of thought, oh, I don't know if we need to use this, but we can put a whole lot more stuff in the green bin now than we would ever have been able to put in our little backyard one. And like I said, it's a lot cheaper than a new landfill. Our waste has to go somewhere. You can imagine the kind of waste that a city of 1.2 million people generate. We don't often think about that, right? We just kind of put it in the garbage. Oh, just one sec. And so I am totally for the green bin system.
The municipal issue our group focused on was the new Calgary Arena.
What's your view on who should pay for the new arena?
Okay. I liked the offer that the city had provided to the Calgary Flames, which was that there would basically be a three-way partnership. I actually think that a new arena is a really important piece of infrastructure at that east end of Calgary, at the east end of downtown, which now includes part of Ward 11, right? They're planning on redeveloping all of that land in that area, so like around the Stampede Park and Victoria Park, they're going to be creating this, like what they're kind of referring to as an entertainment district in that area, and I think the new arena is going to be a super important piece of that. And so would we want to see the city put some money into it? That would be taxpayers' dollars. Ultimately, that's where the city makes most of their money, and so some of that would be taxpayers' dollars, but it can't be a blank check. So I want to make sure that if we do put money into it, that we get that money back, and that we actually get that benefit. It can't just be a gift.
The heart of our issue is refugees coming to Calgary need affordable housing because they come with almost nothing.
What are you going to do about affordable housing and how are you going to do it?
There isn't enough affordable housing for everybody who needs it. If elected, how will you help this issue?
The City of Calgary has the Calgary Housing Corporation. It is the largest landlord and the largest provider of affordable housing in the city. We've got about 10,000 units, which means 10,000 apartments, 10,000 homes that we provide at affordable, at a subsidized level. And then we subsidize it in all kinds of ways, right? So there's rent, which was whatever the average is, about $1,200 for a one-bedroom apartment. And then what the city does is we either provide the housing or we cover some of those costs for people. And so particularly when it comes to newcomers, that demand is huge. Because you're right, they haven't got a whole lot, and Calgary is a really expensive place to live. There's not a whole lot of laws around rents, and so landlords can increase rents as they want, and there's not a whole lot of restrictions on how big those increases can be. And so it's really important for the city to be involved in that affordable housing conversation. But I think what's really important too is that we talk about housing and that there's a whole range, there's a lot of choice around where people can live and the kind of housing that's provided for them. And so I think what we need to do as a municipal government is to make sure that we're thinking about every step of the way, right? It's not just about having a house